Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. You're watching Learn Tech with Sandeep by Sandeep Das, and in this session today we are going to talk about a very interesting tool called OpenOps. So what exactly is OpenOps? So OpenOps is an open source no-code FinOps and cloud automation platform that empowers the organizations to reduce the cloud cost and streamline the financial operations. And of course, the best part, it's completely open source. So you can just go to their site, that is www.openops.com, and you can just click on this GitHub icon and see you have the access to the entire code base like that. Now let me tell you three top features of OpenOps. Top features number one, customizable no code workflows where you can automate cloud cost management activities like resource optimization, budgeting and forecasting, and cost allocation and tagging. Number two, that is integrated spreadsheet like database, which is we call OpenOps table, where you can track and manage the cost opportunities and workflow statuses. Number three, that is built-in analytics module where you can visualize the report and monitor the FinOps KPIs. And all this will help us to detect the cost anomalies, for example, underutilized server, and we can act on them, for example, right size the instance, or you can generate the Jira ticket, and or we can just notify the concerned team via Slack or Teams, right? So ultimately it will help us to promote the collaboration among FinOps teams, DevOps engineering teams, and the leadership teams. Now let's learn about the OpenOps integration ecosystem. OpenOps support all major cloud services, for example, Amazon Web Services, Microsoft Azure, and Google Cloud. Okay, and OpenOps also support integration with major collaboration tool, for example, Slack, Microsoft Teams, Discord, Notion, Trello, and many more. But do you know what is the best fact here? That is human in the loop. You can either approve or reject via email or Slack or any other collaboration tool. Now, I hope you have a basic idea of what OpenOps is. Let me show you how to install and how to work with OpenOps so you'll have a better understanding. Okay, so now let's proceed with the installation. But before installation, let me share some info. Okay, so OpenOps is distributed as a Docker-based installation and compatible with macOS, Windows, Linux, such as Ubuntu, Fedora, and any Linux distribution. Okay, now make sure that your whatever system you're running fulfilling all this requirement. For example, if you're running Mac OS, then it's have the Big Sur, which is 11x or later. If you're running Windows, then it's have at least Windows 10 or 11. If you're running Linux, for example, Ubuntu, then it have at least minimum 20.04 version. And as a software requirement, you need to install Docker. For example, if you're using MacBook or Windows, you can install the Docker desktop. And if you're using Linux, you can just install the Docker engine and make sure that Docker Compose is installed. Now, with the Docker desktop, it's installed by default, but if in your Linux installation it's not there, you can install separately. Okay, now let's come to the hardware requirement. For example, if you're just exploring in local, you're just checking out the features, then at least 2 CPU cores and 8 GB RAM is required, and your machine should have at least 50 GB of storage. Okay, and for production usage, for example, multiple users, you're going to run multiple automation workflows, then your system, that particular system or remote system, should have 4 core CPU and at least 16 GB of RAM and 100 GB of storage. Okay, now that you know about all these basic requirements, let's proceed with the installations. Now I will show you how to install OpenOps in your macOS. So this article that you are seeing here, I will be sharing with you guys in the video description, that you can check out later on. Okay, and you can follow the same instruction that I'm showing you. Okay, so first go to this page, and there's this Docker official website. If you click on that, it will open to the Docker desktop download page. Okay, from there you see this download Docker desktop option based on your Mac OS. Now it can be for Apple Silicon, which is M series, like M1, M2, M4, those things, and old generation, for example 2018-19 model where it was using the Intel chip, those you can download. For example, my MacBook is using the Apple Silicon, so I will click on this and it will ask me to download. Just download it and follow the instructions. So make sure your Docker desktop is up and running, okay, after the installation. So after your Docker desktop is up and running, we'll come back to the page and here run this command. Okay, now one thing I have to mention here, for example, the version will keep changing, right? So based on your when you're going to run this installation, go to the GitHub releases page. You can actually do that very quickly. So just search by OpenOps and you can come to their site. You can see this GitHub repo, and then if you come down here, latest release, this is what you should be downloading, whatever is the latest release are. Okay, so for now the latest release is 0.2.7, right? So we'll be going ahead and installing that. So let's come back, and based on the latest version you can just run this command. Okay, so what you're doing here, we're creating a directory called OpenOps, and then we are downloading the release and we are setting up the things. Okay, so let's do that. Let's run it. Okay, so we have successfully downloaded OpenOps. Now you'll notice there is a particular file, that is .env.defaults, which we have renamed to .env in this particular command, that we have to edit before we launch the OpenOps. Okay, so what we'll do, we'll open the .env file in our code editor, and it can be any code editor. For demo purpose, I'll be showing using the VS Code. Okay, so let me show you the VS Code. Okay, so let's open the project. It's called OpenOps. Okay, there you will see a file called .env. Now important part here is the email and password, okay, which is this OpenOps admin and OpenOps admin password. Let me just make it a bit bigger. That you have to change based on your actual information. You should be changing this value. For example, I'm changing this to my email, sandeep.das@learnxops.com, and changing this password to something random, very random password. Okay, and that's it. Now we can launch the OpenOps application. Let me show you. I can launch it. Okay, so now go to the launch OpenOps section, where we are going to run compose parallel limits for docker compose pull, then the docker compose up. So this you're going to run now, and it will launch the OpenOps application. Let me run it and show you. Copy this and run in the commands. See, it's downloading all the images. Some problem happening, so let me see. So there is, okay, if you see this kind of issues where you're facing any problems like this, you have to do a simple one thing. Just come down below, like docker logout from public ecr.aws. Okay, let's run this, and that's it. Let's clear the screen and just run it again. It should be able to pull all the images successfully. See, it's pulling the images, downloading it. So it's okay. If you face any issues, just run this particular command. Okay, so now it's all the containers are now running fine and healthy. Now we can go to the browser and open the localhost, and you can log in into the OpenOps. Let me show you. Let's open localhost, and you will see the login screen of the OpenOps. Now let's come back to the password that you had set here. That is Sandeep .das@learnxops.com, and come again. What was the password? Password was like random string, right? So let's do that, and that's it. Yes, we are successfully logged in, and we have successfully installed OpenOps in macOS. Now let me show you how can you install OpenOps in Windows OS. Now let's install OpenOps in Windows. First, let's download the Docker desktop. See, there's an option called download Docker desktop, and if you come down, there's an option for download for Windows. Okay, so let's go for that. Let's just close this, and it's downloading. So give it few seconds, it will get downloaded, and then we can run that. So now that Docker desktop installer.exe file downloaded, let's click on that and will install the Docker desktop. Okay, now the Docker desktop installation is complete. Let's click on this close and restart. Okay, so now the Docker desktop is installed in Windows machine. Now we can continue with the OpenOps installation in the Windows. Now come to this page again and copy this command to start the installation. Okay, so let's copy and then we'll run in the PowerShell. So come here in the search section and search for PowerShell. See, it's Windows PowerShell. Click on that. Okay, now paste that command. Paste anyway. So you'll see that it already downloaded the source code. You can run ls to verify. See, the files are there. Now this particular file called .env, that we have to edit to change the user email and password for the login. Let's do that. Open the VS Code editor, search for OpenOps, maybe in the C drive. So let's go to this PC, then C drive, and look for OpenOps. Say this is OpenOps. Yeah, just open it for now. Select the folder, and in the folder here, yes, I trust the authors. Yeah, now come to this file called .env. There, go down, and the section here, when it's showing the OpenOps admin email, change that. I'm changing to my email ID. So sandeep.das@learnxops.com, and I'm setting some random password. Okay, that's it. Save it and come back to the web page again. Now copy this command and go to PowerShell and paste here and run it. See, it's pulling the images, and after the images pull, it will start the container. Let's wait for that. Okay, so all the images now downloaded. Now all the containers are starting. So let's wait for the containers to start. Okay, so now all the containers are created and healthy. So we can go to browser and open the OpenOps application. So let's go to the browser and go to localhost and see it. It will give us the OpenOps login screen. Now copy the user email and the password that you set. Okay, so let's do that. Let's copy this and paste it. Let's copy the password and come back to the login page and paste it and click on the sign in. That's it. Now we have successfully installed the OpenOps in the Windows OS as well. Now let me show you how you can install OpenOps in Linux. Okay, now for this demo I'll be utilizing a EC2 instance in an AWS environment, and let's go there. Click on the EC2. There, if you see instances, there is a launch instances. Okay, so click on the launch instance and you will be selecting Ubuntu 24.04. Will come down. Now as per the requirement, we need minimum of 2 CPU and 8 GB of memory. So let's see that which instance is satisfying the requirement. That is T2 large, which have 2 virtual CPUs and 8 GB memory. Let's select that. Come down, and there is a key pair section. Now if you already have a key pair, you can utilize that. If you don't, then you can just click on the create key pair. There, come and say OpenOps demo and create key pair. It will ask you to download. Okay, so let's download into my home directory. Save it, and let's make sure that it's downloaded in proper location. Yes. Now come down, and we need to also enable the in the networking settings. Make sure, of course, we need the SSH access, that is port 22. Also we need the HTTP access because it's a server, right, and you have to access the server remotely via public IP. For that reason, we also have to enable the HTTP traffic. Now for production environment, we should be also enabling the HTTPS traffic, but since this is demo, I'll be not enabling the HTTPS. Now for the storage configuration, we need at least 50 GB. Now for the storage configuration, we need at least 50 GB. So let's make it 50 GB. Come down. I think that's it. Now if you see, there is an option called launch instance. Let's click on that. It will take few seconds for the instance to start up and get ready. Click on the instance ID. And instance is already up and running. Yeah, it's initializing, but at least it's running. So we can connect. So just right click on the instance and there is a connect option. Now make sure this the key that you have downloaded, that mode is set at 400. Okay, so let's do that. Copy this command. Now run the command. Yes, and go back. Now we can connect remotely with this particular EC2 instance or Ubuntu server. Let's do that. Say yes, we want to connect, and that's it, we are connected. So now let's continue the installation from the article. First, update the system. It will take few seconds, just wait for that. Okay, so the system packages are all updated. Let's clear the screen. Come back to here, and now let's install all the dependencies. Basically, all the now let's install all the dependencies. Done. Now let's install the Docker official GPG key. Then we'll set up the Docker repository. Clear the screen, and now we'll just go ahead and install the Docker engine. Okay, so Docker is now installed. Let's enable the Docker. Okay, and let's start the Docker. Start it. Now check the status of Docker, and it's running, all good. Now let's come back to screen and let's see the Docker version. Okay, come back here and let's see the Docker version. So it's Docker 28.1, and let's see the Docker Compose version, which is version 2.35. Okay, so all good. Now let's add the current user to the Docker group so that we don't have to use sudo commands. Done. Let's run Docker ps. Yes, the commands are working fine. Now let's download the OpenOps so that we can then use the Docker Compose up to start it. Okay, so come down and run this. Yes, so we have all the source code here now. Now here, if you do ls plus la, there is a file called .env. That file you have to make change. Okay, so use nano, then .env. First, we will be changing the ops public URL. We will be replacing with the public IP of that particular Ubuntu server. So let's do that. We can go to the EC2 console and we can click on the instance ID, and there in the networking tab we can find the public IPv4 address. Let's copy that. Done. And come down, you will see another important thing, that is the OpenOps admin email. That email have to change, and the password also should be changing. So let's make the change to my personal email. Now let's make this password something random and unique so that it should not be hackable easily. Okay, so let's make that change. Done. Let's save it, and that's it. Now come back to the article, and we'll just run this command to pull the images. Let's clear the screen and run this. It's pulling all the required images. It will take few seconds. Okay, so all images are downloaded now. Let's come back and run the Docker Compose up. It will create and start all the containers. Do that. See, it's created the container. Now it will start and make sure all containers are healthy, and we can just go to our server public IP and we can able to log in. Okay, so all containers started and healthy. Now we can go to our site. Okay, so since it's remote address, it's a remote server, we can copy the public IP and open in the browser and to load it. You see, we will be able to see the OpenOps login page. Now let's come back and see the .env file, the password and email that you have set here. Okay, so this is the email, and let's see what is the password that I have set. This. That's it. We are able to log in. So this is how we can install OpenOps in Linux. Now that we have successfully installed OpenOps, it's now time to get started with OpenOps. Okay, first we'll log in and then we'll explore the overview section, the workflows, the run section, the connection, and the tables. Okay, and I'll explain what are these different section are and how you can explore. Okay, so let's get started. Let's go and log in. Now in the env file we have our email id and we have our password too. So let's copy that and log in. Now in the screen you see this overview section where you have the get started guide, quick links to OpenOps for documentation and different get started other information. Then there is activated workflow section where we have the workflows that is published and running. Then you have total runs. So total runs are the instances or the automation, how many times the automated workflow executed, that number of times is there. Then successful run section, which is out of running instances of the workflows, how many successfully run. And in the failure section you see that is how many times it's failed. Okay, and in the recently created section we have whatever the recently created workflows that you have created, those will come here. In the last run section you will see the recent execution of the different workflows. Okay, now if we come to the workflow here, okay, so all the option you will see in the left side, which is overview, workflows, run, tables. Okay, now let's click on the workflows. This is the section where we'll create the workflows or automation here. Okay, we'll come there. Let's come to the run section where the execution of these workflows will be running here, and in the connection we'll be adding the connection. What are the connection we're talking about? We're talking the connection with the AWS Cloud, with Athena, AWS Cloud Formation, Compute Optimizer, Azure, Databricks, GitHubs, Google Cloud, Jira, Microsoft Teams, Slack, SMTP, Snowflake, and Ternary. For now, these are there, and of course, in future, more and more options will get added. Okay, now close it. In the tables, you'll see all the cost opportunities, like all the data that the workflows generate will come here. Okay, and again, by the way, we'll go to the workflows. I will explain very detailed what are these workflows, how we can execute, how to create, and all that. So don't worry. For now, understand workflows like automation, which will automatically check your cloud data and give you the result, and all the result will actually get stored in the this tables UI. So for example, I have run some samples, so that generated some data which give me like how many savings we have and all the data you can see here. Okay, now let's go and try it hands-on way. I think that will make more sense and you'll get more clear idea how to use OpenOps in your day-to-day life. So let's start with that. So all the cloud and different tool access is managed by the connections tab. So the very first step to get started with OpenOps is actually to add the connection. I have already added one connection for testing. Now let me show you how to add AWS, Azure, GCP, Slack, and Jira. So we'll have a better understanding how you can add your different cloud and different tool accounts to your OpenOps account here. So let's get started with the AWS first. So go click on this new connection. It will open the screen. Now click on AWS. Okay. Now here it will ask for the connection name. For example, I will say personal AWS account. Then key ID. No, it will ask for the key ID, the secret access key, and the default region and custom endpoint. So and a role. For now, let's focus on key ID, access key, and the region. Okay. Now let's go to the AWS screen, and there, if you go to IAM, let's create an account. Okay, now come down, there is a user section. Now click on the create user, and in the username call it OpenOps user. Okay, now click on next. Now in this permission section you have to give the AWS cloud different services access to OpenOps. Okay, now what we need is actually mainly read access to get started. Okay, and it will be safe also to try out the OpenOps. So let's go to this section called attach policies and let's create a policy. Now I have created one policy document for you guys. So come down there in this screen, you see OpenOps read access. So you can click on this link and it will open the screen. There, just copy this particular. It's all the read access. You can check it if you want. It's all read access. Just copy this and come to this policy creation screen, and we'll just make sure the JSON policy and just paste it here. You go next, and let's call it OpenOps read access. Okay, Now you can see this particular screen, this permission defined in policy. We are giving the application auto scaling, cloud control, cloud formation, cloud thread, all different services that OpenOps will need, all in the read and list access. That's it. Now let's go. Let's create policy. The policy is created. Now come back to the AWS screen where we are creating the AWS IAM user. There, search for the policy, and that is here. We have the OpenOps read access. So select that one, and next, now create user. Here, okay, OpenOps user created. Now click on that, and then go to the security credential section and click on the create access key here. Okay, click on that. Select the command line interface and say I understand the recommendation. Okay, next create access key, and this is the access key that you need. So this is the access key ID. We'll come here and copy in the new connection screen, and we'll copy this secret access key and paste here. And in the default region, I'll just go and we'll check what is my default region. I'll just go to my home screen. Now it's based on where you're hosting your servers. So I can see my default region is actually Oregon. Okay, so US West 2. I'll come here and say US West 2. That's it. Now I'll just say save, and it created the connection here, AWS personal account, right? Now one point to be noted here, that once you create the access, okay, the connection, you cannot edit it anymore. You can add new one or you can delete the existing one, but you cannot edit it. Okay, also another thing, the credential that you have created, the connection that you have created with OpenOps, those are stored encrypted and very secure way, so that you're safe, you're in good hands. Okay, so don't worry on that part. Now I have created the client for AWS. Let's add for the Azure. Okay, so click on this new connection again and come down. There's Azure option. Click on Azure. Now what are the things that Azure need? Azure need connection name, the application ID, the client secret, and the directory tenant ID. Okay, directory tenant ID. Now OpenOps give a very well defined documentation. You can follow that one. So let's go there. Okay, and I will give the URL to you guys, so don't worry. And if you come down to the Azure connection section, they've given very clear instruction how we can add that. So come down there. Now we have to create the Azure service principal using the Azure portal, which is by using the app registration screen, and then we have to generate the certificate, and then all the access other requirements. Okay, so let's do step by step and follow the process. Okay, so let's go to the Azure. This is your Azure screen. Then search for this particular service called app registrations. Okay, so let's search for that, and there is app registration. There, register an application. Okay, so new registration. In the name, let's give it OpenOps access. Okay, and then account with, of course, this organization directory. Then come down. I think all good. Let's go and click on register. It's successfully created. Now here in the overview screen itself, you will see the application ID, this one, and the tenant ID, which is directed tenant. Let's copy these two first. So first the application ID, and come to this connection screen and copy the application ID. Then let's come to the again to the overview screen, and that is the tenant ID. Let's copy the tenant ID. And now we have to create the secret. Now let's focus on how we can create the secret. So to create a secret, we have to go to the certificates and secret submenu and create the new secret and copy the secret here. Okay, so let's go there and let's go to the here. If you go to the certificate and secret section, okay, there you have to create the new client secret, and let's say OpenOps secret, and it expires within, I want it to be after 1 year, for example. Click on add. Now let's copy this secret value. Okay, copy, and let's come to the OpenOps UI and client secret. Now before creating the Azure connection, we have to add the IAM role assignment. Okay, so let's do that. Search for subscriptions and click on the subscription. Then in this section where you call IAM access control, click on that. There is this role assignment. Okay, if you click on this plus add option, there's a role assignment. Click on that, and then you see the role. Select the read all. Okay, and in the member section, select members. You'll see open search for that. Yeah, OpenOps Access. Okay, select that, and then click on this review and assign. Okay, so let's do that and click on the review and assign. Now come back to the particular same page, app registrations. Now we can create the Azure connection secret. Let's click on save. And yes, so we have successfully added the Azure secret as well. Now let's add the GCP. So click on this new connection again and go down and select this Google Cloud Platform or GCP. Now to add a GCP connection, we need the service account, and we have to enable the service account first. So as per the instruction, let's go to the GCP service account. First, let's enable the API of the service account. Next, enable, done. Now let's go to the IAM section. See, there is a IAM and admin section. Let's go there. So on the left, there is a service account. Click on that. Now click on this create service account. Okay, so click on that. So let's give the name as OpenOps Access. Okay, and let's click on this create and continue. Now click on done, and you will see the service account for OpenOps Access got created. So let's click on that. And the most important thing you want is actually the key. So let's go to the key section and generate the JSON key. Okay, so key section and click on the add key and say create new key. We want the JSON. So click on the select the JSON and then click on create. Now let's download the file, and we want to just erase. Now let's get the content of the file. And come down here and paste. That's it. Save it. Now we have AWS, Azure and GCP connections added. Now let's add the two most common collaboration tool, that is Jira and Slack. So let's first add the Jira. So select this Jira cloud, and what you want here, that you can generate the API token from this. So let's go to this URL and we can generate the token. Okay, so let's click on this create API, name OpenOps Access, expires maybe tomorrow. This just one is for demo only. So let's click on create, copy this, come here and let's say copy, pay token. Now add the instance URL. For example, that example.com.adolescent.net. For me, it's that linuxops.adolescent.net. So let's copy that URL and paste here. And then email. Now I have used my email. So sandeep.das@learnxops.com, and that's it. We have added the details for the Jira cloud. So click on save, and so Jira connection also created. Now the final one, that is the Slack. So let's search for Slack, and you have Slack here. Now let's connect the Slack and select LearnXops community. And if you come down here, select on allow. Okay, so click on allow, and that's it. So you have Slack also connected that easily. So yeah, now we have all the connections that we need. Now let's run some sample workflows. Now OpenOps includes some sample workflows from AWS, Azure and GCP. For this demo, we'll be utilizing AWS and Azure sample. Let me show you how you can run a sample AWS workflow first and then the Azure. Let me show you. Come to this overview screen, and there you will see AWS sample workflow option. Click on that. And there you'll see the details about like what that does. Like for example, here the following recommendations supported by OpenOps, which is Amazon EC2 instances, auto scaling groups, Amazon EBS volumes, AWS Lambda functions, ECS RDB instances, and ECS on Fargate, Amazon RDS DB instance and idle resources. Okay, and you can see the instruction here how to use this workflow. So basically, if you come down also, they will see exactly how this workflow get executed. In the UI, you can very clearly observe how it actually designed. Okay, so we are all good. Then we will just click on this use template. Now in the screen, they will ask you about which connection to use for AWS workflow execution. There I am selecting the my personal account. Okay, then I'm selecting this create workflow. Now the workflow is created. Click on this schedule. Okay, and the schedule is set as 7 a.m. every day. Okay, and you can change that very easily based on your requirement, your need, or your planning. You can execute the workflow. First thing you should do is actually load the sample data. Click on this load sample data, and after that there is an option called test workflow. Here, click on that, on the text workflow. You will see in the left all this test flow running details should be coming. Let's wait for that. See, all the data run successfully, and I have all in the green. This is the workflow. All we have all the data here. Is creating the table in the table section. All that I will show you. So now let's edit and publish. Okay. So workflow is public. Now I have an account for which actually have run multiple workflows and that generated data. That data will be available in this table section. For example, this, and then click on this opportunities. You will see it created data like $53 I can save on the EC2 instances. I can save $50 on EVS volume. I can save $7.34 on autoscaling group, and so on. So, okay. So this is the data got generated from the particular workflow. Now you have a very good idea of how AWS sample workflow works in OpenOps. Now let me show you how you can run a sample workflow in Azure. Now to run a sample workflow with Azure, come to the overview screen and select this Azure sample workflow. Just click on that and it will give you the details like what it's doing and how you can utilize this. Come down and you will see the exact workflow is mentioned here. Simply click on this use template and create workflow. Now here first you have to select the step 1. Okay, so select the connection, this is Azure. Select the subscription plan, that is Azure subscription 1, and any filter, no filter. Then come down. I think yes, that's tested successfully. We are getting the output that you need. Okay, now let's come here. We can click on this test workflow and see the text workflows are getting executed here. Just wait for, okay, yes. So now we have it ready. So this is how easily you can run the Azure workflow. Now let's talk a bit about this table section of the OpenOps. Okay, why this is important? Because the moment you run the workflow generates some recommendations, the cost saving opportunities, and all those opportunities come to this opportunities table based on which you can take actual actions. For example, based on the data, you can actually create a workflow from here. Come to this workflow, create a workflow, and say trigger maybe for example daily. You're running schedule on, for example, every day, and then what you can do, you can just send the table data, say get records, and then you can send the notification to Slack, send message the data. So whatever data you get from the tables data every day, you can send that data to your Slack. Okay, that kind of thing you can do. Of course, while setting this up, make sure that you load some sample data first. Then in the data section, select what table you want to send. For example, I would like to send the opportunities table to the Slack, and what is the field? You don't need to have the field at this moment. Then test this. You'll see the data coming here. The data you want to send to the Slack message, and in the Slack configure. We can select the connection Slack. Then we can select the channel or say recipient channel as OpenOps. Thread TS, give it blank. Then username this, attachment, we can send the records. Okay, we can send the attachment. So insert that, and we can then run retest, and yeah, it works. The record will go there. Okay, and then publish. Now every single midnight will send. But for example, now instead of midnight, I want at maybe 8 a.m. So I can make that change and I can publish the change. So every day 8 a.m. this will automatically send me the cost opportunities into my Slack channels here. Okay, that will work. If you run the test workflow, you'll see the right side, the test workflow happened. Okay, and we have the data. Okay, so this is how you can configure your OpenOps table with the Slack as well. Now let's explore the template catalog. It's a very powerful feature for automation. Let's come here and see there is this option on the very top called explore the templates. Click on that. You'll see this screen where you have good examples of very advanced catalog. For example, finding out unattached EBS in production and create a Jira ticket. For example, using AWS EC2 RI expiration recommendation and Jira ticket creation. Then there is Azure idle VMs recommendation with approval. Then there is delete orphaned RDS snapshot. There's underlies EC2 in staging or say pre-production or test environment, and Rightsizing action is there. Then there is EBS generation upgrade. Okay, now these are only 6, right? But there are many more available. How can you get it? So there is this option, right? Explore more. Click on that. It will open a screen, and then it will ask you to log in with the OpenOps. Okay, I'm already logged in. See, it's just simply worked. Close the window. Now you can see there are so many excellent templates are available, and you can utilize these templates to improve your workflow, to improve, to find out more cost saving opportunities, to take action more important. And based on the FinOps capabilities, I can see there's 4 categories. There is one is allocation, then there is anomaly management, then there is rate optimization, and there is workload optimization. Okay, and you can see based on different services, there are different templates available as well. So based on your requirement, go ahead and utilize all these templates. It's all yours. It's all open because it's open source by OpenOps. Now let's learn about customizing different workflows. Okay, now this is of course one of the biggest advantage of OpenOps, that you have so many templates. Okay, and you can, I mean, these templates are just like a starting point. You can do customize, do add improvement, remove existing options to suit it best for your own requirements. Right, so it doesn't has to be exactly same. You can optimize it further based on your own requirements and use that same for your company or your projects. Okay, now let me show you one example. How can you customize one of the many templates that you have in the templates catalog? For example, I'm selecting the right sizing one. So underutilized EC2 in staging right action. Okay, so click on this use template. Now for this we need AWS Compute Optimizer connection. So click on this add. Now again go to AWS account and generate the credentials. Same way, just like before the connection one. Okay, it will be faster. Go to IAM. Then you already have IAM user, right? So what we'll do, that we'll just create a new credential. So go down and there is access keys. Create a new access key for the CLI. Understand. Let's click on next. Create access key. Okay, let's copy this access key here and copy the secret here. Default region we can copy from the URL or in this global site. Okay, let's copy US West 2, and that's it. Click on save. Now once you have these 3 connections ready, you can click on this create workflow. Yes, so we have that here now. Okay, so let me explain a bit. Okay, what it's doing. It's running every day around midnight. We can change the timing based on our requirement. We'll actually do a deep dive on the scheduling part after this. Okay, so yeah, we can schedule based on our preferred time. So we are getting the current date time. Then this AWS Compute Optimizer running, and then the data we receive from this underutilized recommendation, you're looping through them. And in the loop, what you're doing, then you're getting the instance details here. Then you're mapping the details from the instance details. Okay, and then you are coming to retrieve the owner who is the creator of that particular resource, and then you are adding that opportunity record into the OpenOps table. Okay, and then the message going for the Slack approval, and then it's getting split. It will either, maybe they are snoozing it for next 2 days. If they are dismissing it, that's the end of this workflow. But if they're approving it, what is doing, it will wait till 9 p.m. Okay, then it will be set as approved. Then it will stop the instance. then it will modify the instance, and that will start the instance and notify the owner and set as completed. Now what we want, now here instead of stopping the instance, modifying and starting the instance, let's remove this, delete, then delete and delete. We will, and also like notify is fine. Just know that, so let's create a Jira ticket. So let's search for Jira Cloud, and create a issue. Okay, there you can select the connection. There is Jira Cloud. It will give you the option to select the project. Select the project there, and then summary. Oh, first to get the option like what is it? Let's add this as a task. Okay, summary. That data selector, we have to select the ARN. Okay, and say that need to be right size. Okay, that's there. And then in the description we can store the recommendation data. Okay, and then assignee, I'm assigning myself. Now we can test it, and all looks good. We can just publish it. That's it. So instead of actually doing the right sizing, we made sure a Jira ticket get created, and yeah, that's how we will be able to make sure it works. You can just load some sample data and test the workflow. You can see in the left side, all the workflows are getting executed, all are in the grid. That's how you can actually modify any existing workflow based on your own requirements. Now let me show you a very interesting way to update the workflows using AI. Then come to this setting option here. You'll see option called AI. So let's click on that. You see enable AI option is now available to you. So click on this, like toggle on that option. Then you have the option to select the AI provider. For example, you have support for Anthropic, Azure OpenAI, Cerebras, Cohere, DeepInfra, DeepSeek, Google Generative AI, Grok, OpenAI Perplexity, Together AI, and Grok. Right? Now for the demo purpose, we will be using Grok. Okay, so let's select Grok, and the model I'll be using the Grok 3. Now let's go and generate the API key. So from console.x.ai, you can generate the API keys. Here you have the option to generate API key. Let's click. Let's name it OpenOps and save it. It will give you the API key. Copy that and paste here and save it. That's it, successfully saved. Now we can use AI features. Now let me show you how can you utilize this AI feature in a workflow to edit the workflow. Okay, so let's go to the workflow. For example, the AWS sample workflow. There, if we go and go down, for example, here I want to add a step. So I will go to edit mode, and then I will just come here, and after parsing, maybe before just parsing the ARN here, I will just want AWS command. Okay, so AWS command, for example, AWS CLI, and I want to get the CLI. Let's select the connection, of course, first, and then for the CLI command, I want to generate the CLI command. I don't know the command, so I will just simply go ahead and there is this option called generate with AI. So I will just click on that, and see it's open a chat window here. I will just say AWS command to get current account ID. Okay, so let's use that one. And see, it give me the command, exact command, that is AWS STS get caller identity, query, account, and output text, right? And the very good option or feature you can say, see, inject the command. So the moment you click on this inject command, see, the command got pasted here. It's cool, right? It's so easy now that the command also pushed there. Okay, so this is how you can use the AI feature to optimize, to edit and update your workflows. Now let's go deep into the workflow scheduling and monitoring in OpenOps. Now immediately after creating the workflow, okay, you can anytime come and change the schedule or whatever the trigger you have set. Now trigger can be a time-based trigger, or trigger can be an event-based trigger based on your requirement you should be setting. For example, here I have set a everyday trigger. I want to change that. How can I change it? I can just first go to this, edit, because in the view mode you cannot edit it. So click on this edit. Then in this three dots, click, and there is an option called replace. Now the moment is replacing, you see there is Jira Cloud. Based on the tickets created on all that, you can create the triggers, or you can trigger the workflow based on schedule or based on the webhook. Okay, so out of this three things, you can use a schedule, for example. Now in the schedule, there is every X minute, like how many minutes you want to trigger this particular workflow, every hour, so every how many hours you want to trigger this workflow. Now every day, for example, if you want to trigger this workflow every day, every week, every month, and there is then cron expression. Now cron expression, you can do that. For example, this cron expression. Okay, you can go to crontab.guru. Okay, there you can simply, for example, every like if you have very custom requirement for a particular time or a particular second in time, those kind of requirement or very advanced timing requirement, you can come to this particular site, and you can generate based on the custom requirement. Okay, now for example, I want to run on every say morning at 6. Okay, so I will go 6:0. Okay, so at every morning 6, this will execute. I can come to this, and in this cron expression section, I can give that. Okay, so it will run on every day 6. Okay, so based on your requirement, now here is also one thing, time zone. So whatever time zone you want to want that particular workflow to execute, that you can set it. For example, if you're in London, so you'll just go for the London. So based on your time zone, you should be scheduling the time zone here. Okay, and after that, immediately load some data, and that's it. Now for example, instead of this cron expression, I want some Jira ticket to trigger it. Again, same method. I will just come here, replace it based on Jira Cloud, new issue, I want to trigger this. So that is also I can do, right? Now for example, I don't want even this Jira ticket, I just want maybe based on some webhook. I can select this webhook, I can say catch webhook, and then some custom webhook implementation. Now for example, this is localhost. This is more suited for when you have a web server and you're hosting the OpenOps web server, then it is more accurate. Okay, but you have the option to select as trigger point Jira ticket, or maybe schedule, or a webhook. You have all these options. Okay, so now you understand how you can customize this particular scheduling, and how can you even customize the entire trigger point. Now change back. Now change it back to again maybe schedule, and then every X minute, for example 5 minutes. Okay, then we can just publish it. Okay, click on publish. Now every 5 minutes should run, right? Or maybe there are, in the past there are many such runs, so you can see all those here. Okay, whatever you have successfully executed or failed, whatever it is, we can come here. For example, we done multiple times this AWS sample workflow, so we can just come here and see. Okay, you can see in the left side, you can see all the run logs. For example, I want to see that what data it got from the opportunities table. Here in the table you can see that. For example, in parse ARN what is getting, for example in the truncate what is getting, all the data that is done as a log we can see in the left side. Okay, this is excellent feature. For example, you are facing any issues, you want to debug, you can come in this section and debug, right? So this is how you can utilize the run section to see different logs when it's running. Okay, now you have a very good understanding what OpenOps is. It's an amazing, powerful platform that empowers developers, cloud engineers, FinOps professionals to implement FinOps practices through automation, right? And we have covered like what OpenOps is, how to install in Mac OS Linux, connecting different cloud environments, running simple workflows, exploring the templates catalog, customizing the workflows, and setting up the schedule with monitoring and reliability, right? Now, one thing I must say here, that all this thing that you saw, it's all community driven, it's all open source, and that's the reason I would highly recommend you to join the OpenOps Slack community, which is here. And see, there are so many engineers, FinOps professional, cloud engineers, developers have joined, and they already started utilizing the OpenOps. They started sharing their views. They started contributing to this OpenOps, and they're contributing to many such workflow that you see here. Okay, so I'll highly recommend join OpenOps community, contribute more to the OpenOps platform, and share your contribution as a form of the templates. And yeah, that's how we grow. That's how the open source community grow. And this is a final thought. Explore all these pre-built templates, build your own workflows, join the community to collaborate and share knowledge. OpenOps is just a tool; it's a movement for collaborative and automated FinOps. Embrace the automation and save money and scale smart.